So I thought Ben was on Rogan. This is like 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago.
Yeah.
And I thought he was with Matt Damon. I thought he said to Joe that, remember the scene in the town where the cop looks at the four of you getting out of the van?
All the DNA and shots.
Yeah, that's my Uncle Jimmy who plays that cop.
No way.
Yeah.
That's your uncle?
Yeah, it's my uncle. I got him the audition for that, and initially it was an audition for Fergie before Pete Postlethwaite got cast, and they called Jimmy in 3 or 4 times, and and he didn't get the part. So I went to his apartment in Southie, and he says, "George, I didn't get the part." And I said, "I know. They gave it to Pete Postlethwaite, Jim." And he says, "Pete who?" I said, "Pete Postlethwaite. He's an Academy Award nominated actor, right?"
Yeah.
And he said, "Yeah, they gave me this part but it has no fucking lines."
Yeah,
but it ended up being one of the most iconic scenes with no lines in probably the history of cinema. So,
yeah.
And he saw it for the first time at Fenway. I had seen it in LA. Ben did a screening for me and a couple friends in LA prior to that, and I called Jimmy and I told him, "You got to see this scene. It's a classic scene." And he's like, "Stop busting my balls," like. He's like, "I didn't even have a line." But
that is an iconic.
I saw that on Rogan too, and I thought that was great. Jimmy would have loved that. Jimmy passed a year and a half ago, and
I'm sorry to hear that.
Yeah, he was a great man, but it was very cool to see his mug up on Rogan.
He's really good too, and he sold it really well. And I guess my point was, I thought that Ben said that was actually something that happened in real life, and Ben put it in the movie. I thought Ben said that was an actual thing that happened, and it's just in a time where we read about all these heroes and it was like the move that every person would have done. Like, nope, I'm looking the other way. I didn't see anything. So yeah, man.
It also runs opposite to what we normally see in the movie, right? Where the cop is going to be the hero and chase the guy, and it's like, that's not how it would go in real life. So I think that's why it really kind of cut through. That scene is such a classic scene.
Well, there are a couple of massholes on a weekend chopping it up. Do Patriots back-to-back 4-win seasons? Now we're in the Super Bowl. George, I feel like the world hates us.
They definitely do, and I see 70% of the bets are going on Seattle, so that tells you I feel bad for the bookies in the Boston area because they're going to get absolutely trounced. For the Boston bookies, because they have to go by the national lines. 70% of the people in the country are betting on the Seahawks, and I feel like the Patriots are going to win, and they got a 2-1 money line, which it really should be an even money line. So
yeah,
you know where my money is.
What's more disrespectful, the amount of people saying the Patriots are going to blow it out, which I don't see in any way. Like I don't see how this Seattle team blows anybody. That's me. But what about what happened to Belichick with the Hall of Fame? That's even more disrespect, I feel like.
Snubbed and Kraft too. It makes you think they're going to do it to Brady next year, which would be a shame. But they've been throwing the Patriots under the bus for a decade now.
But George, just like me having like a Hall of Fame for actors, and I'm not going to put Hanks or Denzel in, it's insane. Like if and I think all these great players are coming together and saying this. Like if Belichick doesn't belong in the Hall of Fame, nobody does.
Yeah, and I mean MLB does it too with the Barry Bonds and Roger Clemens, and I get it. That's the steroid era, but to me, it's just you put a plaque up about the steroid era or a wing about the steroid era, and you put all those guys in. How can you not put the greatest pitcher and the greatest hitter of the whole generation in? It's nuts.
Yeah. Clemens has got to be in. Bonds has got to be in. Yeah, you're right, George. I agree. George, I want to talk about your early life, right? Because I did a lot of research, was reading a lot of interviews you've done. By the way, great article in Boston Magazine, man. You did a hell of a job, right? Dude, I had tears in my eyes with that last line. I was like, holy shit, George is a good writer too. God,
Thanks,
that was, yeah.
Yeah,
You're like,
I actually consider myself a writer above all. I mean, I've written 13 albums, and I mean, I think every actor is partially a writer as well too. So I mean, I consider myself a writer first.
yeah, you gifted as hell. Born in Dorchester, you wrote something where your tire was taken off your Dukes of Hazzard big wheel.
Yeah.
And I get I so tell me about that childhood, George, because obviously we mentioned the success that you have as a person, a rapper, a writer, you name it. The tough childhood growing up. I mean, and I know I read it in a Boston Magazine article, but maybe for those people that haven't read it yet.
Yeah, I mean, I know people with a lot tougher childhood than I had, so I always hesitate to say that. I think it was just normal. Where I was growing up, there was 100 kids on my block. I got my ass kicked. I got in a lot of fights when I was very young. It was just
Yeah.
par for the course, though. I don't, you know, it. I think people are gonna think I have a resentment about that big wheel. I mentioned it in a song once before too, and now it popped up in a magazine article. But
Yeah,
yeah, I'm just a grew up like any other Bostonian. I think that's why I probably got a lot of fans here because people relate to my story.
yeah, the comments in the YouTube about your rap career, people like, dude, they're diehards. I wasn't like I've always known you as an actor, and I knew you had other abilities and you did other things. I just wasn't ready for how unbelievable your rap career has been. I just wasn't ready for that. Like I've known you as an actor. That's kind of my thing. Like, when I was you and I are like roughly the same age, so I just I can relate to some of the things that you sing about. So it's fucking great, man. I love just what you're about, right? Let me ask you this. I always
Thank you.
thought you went to New York. I thought you went to New York for your rap career. You went for film school. I didn't know that.
I went to New York for film school, and that abruptly ended and became for my rap career.
Yeah.
But yeah, I went to the School of Visual Arts for approximately 7 months before I had to exit.
George, did you have official training as an actor? Because you're unbelievable. But did you have official like training? Does that ever end up happening for you?
No, I went to film school, and there was an acting class in that second semester, which got cut short for me that I enjoyed. But other than that, no, it was just Ben Affleck had seen me in the newspaper, brought me in, and he told me if you ever go to acting school, I'll never hire you again. Which now I understand was more just it was a compliment, but I took that very seriously for about a decade after that.
Yeah,
And
yeah. It's funny because Ben does what the Safdie brothers do, who did Uncut Gems. He kind of goes for authentic and organic, and it works a lot better. So I know what he's saying to you when he says, don't go to film school. And his movies work a lot better because of casting like you, George.
yeah, I was certainly wasn't the only one in Gone Baby Gone Out of Town that he kind of pulled off the street. I did happen to have a somewhat of a background, through film school. I was an avid film buff as a kid and throughout my life, and obviously with the music, was kind of used to performing and stuff like that. So I didn't come in completely green.
Yeah. I gotta say, again, you and I are like the Gen X same age, and growing up, I was a Public Enemy, NWA, I was Tribe Called Quest. At that time, listening to music like that was, especially in the suburbs for a white kid, wasn't normal, but we loved it. Like that was our music. Who are your influences, George?
Well, I mean, all those guys that you named, but also later, Cypress Hill and House of Pain were huge
Yeah.
influences of mine. Later on, a little bit later, I guess around the same concurrently, Nas and Biggie, Wu Tang. I mean, I kind of grew up in that golden era, and that was the stuff that really resonated with me. And then years later, of course, I got into a group with House of Pain, and that was like, that
Yeah.
was a dream come true.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And that collab was awesome. And I have to say, isn't it great though, George? Like we grew up in a time where we went home when the lights went on at night, right? And then we can still enjoy like the internet in our later years. I don't know. I just feel like we've grown up at such a wonderful time, George. Don't you agree?
Well, we're the last generation. Are you the same age as me? How old are you?
I was born in 73. I'm 52. You're younger than me. I know that.
Yeah, I'm
Y-
77. I'm 48. So,
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, I still remember the guys with briefcases going up and down my block in Dorchester pitching cable TV to people. So I mean, I didn't grow up with any internet or anything like that, and I didn't have cable neither. I used to go knock on my friend's door up the street, and they'd answer the door, 6, 7 in the morning, and I'd either say, "You want to watch HBO?" or "You want to play Atari?" Because I didn't have that neither.
Yeah, yeah. George, I have to say though, I don't think I've ever had a guest who has an acting credit and then 2 music credits. I'm talking about The Town, and I want to hop into a couple of your work, King Ivory. I want to talk about just one other thing, but I have to say, I don't think I've 99 Bottles and Run It were both in The Town. So I
Yeah,
have to ask you, and maybe this is none of my business. Do you get double pay for that?
of course.
Yeah, I was gonna say they better be because he uses you on Gone Baby Gone as well.
Yeah, that's separate things, and Ben looked out like that too, because Ben discovered me through an article about my music. So when he was editing the movie, he reached out and was like, "Hey, send me some stuff. What do you got?" And he looked out and put that stuff in the movie. That was a huge look for me, man. And it wasn't like life changing money, but it was enough to keep the to grease the wheels.
Yeah. How do you stay grounded like that, George? Right? Because I mean, The Town was, for those listening or watching, The Town wasn't your first. Gone Baby Gone was your first. I'm
Yeah.
going out of order here, but how do you process all that? Right? Not only are you acting in these movies and you're terrific in them, but then you're giving music credits. You're supply. Dude, that's a lot to process. How does somebody do that?
I don't know. It's when I got Gone Baby Gone, I didn't even really have a home to live in. So
Jesus.
my high school sweetheart came to the warehouse that I was squatting in and took me. But she was like, "You can't go to a movie set like this," and she rented a hotel room the night before I shot that and got me a bunch of toiletries and stuff like that I then went to the set with.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I never really thought about that. How did I process it? It was an exciting time. It was a dream come true. I was really pushing for a long time with my music, and I started to get a buzz on the streets in Boston and stuff like that. And, signed a pre-production deal with Lethal. So it was kind of all these things coming together at the same time. And looking back at it, it was magical, and I'm super grateful for all of it. It definitely changed the course of my life, obviously.
Yeah. Yeah. You were supposed to have a minor role, and then that flips into Glonsey, who's awesome. Like, how's that happen? How's that flip, George? Because Ben wanted you slated for this small role, and then all of a sudden, bam, you're in this bigger role that kind of a memorable character too.
Yeah, he brought me in to read for a guard for an armored truck after Gone Baby Gone, and he was like, "Yeah, I don't know if I see you as this," and I said, "Let me read for Glonsey," and he's like, "All right, you want to come back in a couple weeks?" And I was like, "Nah, just give me the sides. Let me go look at it, and I'll come back in 20 minutes." And he was like, "All right." So I went out into the room and I looked at it, and it said, the line said, "I'm trying to make this sound authentic." So when I went into the audition, I put a little finesse on it, and I said, "Nah, you've got it all fucked up. I'm trying to make this shit sound authentic." And I think that was kind of the slam dunk. He ended up putting me in that role, and the next time I saw the script, it had my my little improv in there. So, and that ended up being like a funny line in the movie too. So very cool.
Yeah, if what I read was correct, he was blown away by your audition. I think, or was it Gone Baby Gone? One of the two, or maybe both. Ben was blown away. I thought I heard by that.
I hadn't heard that, but I mean, put me in his first 2 films as a director, so I'm forever grateful for him. I think he's a brilliant guy and a really cool guy too. I like
Brilliant.
going, yeah.
Brilliant. Looking at your hat, I can't help but think that The Town had a premiere at Fenway Park. You talk about once in a lifetime. You're going to do a bunch more movies in your career. I have no doubt about that. You'll never have a premiere this cool ever again.
Never. Yeah, I mean, and to top it off, obviously I grew up as a huge Red Sox fan. I also got my second job ever at Fenway Park, and I worked at Fenway Park every season from when I was 15 years old till I was 18 years old. And when I walked back into that park, I knew a bunch of the people, that the security and everybody who worked here, and they were like, "What are you doing here?" And I was like, "I'm in the movie. get the fuck out of here, like that type of thing. So it's cool.
Hey, is Glonesy patterned after somebody that you know in your personal life, or is it just something you created?
There was definitely influences. I when I was a kid, I used to hang out in Charlestown at times. I went to a school in downtown Boston where kids from all over the city went. So we would go to different neighborhoods and hang out every other weekend. And so I mean, that was definitely influenced by real people. There were also a couple of the Teamsters, one in particular who I spent a lot of time with, and he had kind of a history with some of the subject matter, and he was the teddy bear and a really good guy. I'm friends with him to this day. And kind of based it on, I never like to base a character on one person or one thing. I like to make it kind of an amalgamation.
Yeah, you did a great job of that too. Let me ask you: you don't strike me as somebody that gets scared or intimidated, but when you're around Renner and Ben, Casey, Affleck, and Gombe, you've had tons of other movies. You ever get, especially early on, George? You ever get not nervous, but anxious? Wanting to nail it, or do you just take everything in stride because again, you've had this long rap career, so I imagine having eyeballs.
I get far more anxious with music.
Oh, okay.
To go out and perform on stage, at times, I think the biggest audience I performed in front of was 60,000. That's, I don't even think it's nervous. I've come to recognize it as adrenaline. So your body is making you rise to the occasion. But sometimes that adrenaline will make me throw up, or the nervousness is always like, what's the first line of the song? Because it's it's very difficult to get nervous acting when I know, well, if it doesn't work out this time, we can just try it again. I mean, it's
Right,
not like with a
right.
live performance in front of a lot of people, the hook is about to finish, and I've had times where I literally have a half a second where I'm about to deliver the first line of the verse and I don't know what it is. And if it doesn't come to you like in the next zero point 0.4 seconds, what are you going to do? So, and once I have that first line, I can remember the rest of them. But that's more the nerve stuff for me. It's more the music. It's acting. It's like, it's very comfortable to me for some reason.
Yeah, and it looks like that. When I'm watching you, in a movie, you look comfortable behind. You sell it really well. When I think about you said this earlier, the casting for the town and Gone Baby Gone, it's so authentic. One of the guys that make up the four guys in the town is Owen Burke. He was 6 months out of South Bay Correctional. So if
Yeah.
that doesn't hammer home the authenticity, and he does a great job too. Like I was blown away by him too. So it just works so great, George, doesn't it?
Yeah, he's a great kid. I talked to Owen recently too. He's become a pretty good actor too, man. Like, that was the first time he ever did anything like that. I think people, when they talk about my story, are like, oh, you had never done this before. And like I said, that's not all the way true because I did
Right.
have, but Owen, it is true of Owen just kind of cruised onto the set right off the streets of Charlestown. So, but he's a great guy, and he actually starred in one of my videos too, called Pusher.
Wow. Yeah, and he's been in Coda. He's been in your videos. He's been doing really well for himself too, which made me really happy when I looked. Let me ask you this. So one of the quotes in the town that everybody likes, right, is when Doug looks at Jem and says, "I need your help. I can't tell you what it is. You can never ask me about it, and we are going to hurt some people." And then Jem says, "Whose car are we going to take?" George, did you
Yeah,
know people like that growing up?
yeah, I am one of those people, Derek.
Yeah.
I mean, I think that's why it's a classic line because I think it just resonates with the way that we live in Boston. I think most any hardhead is like that in Boston. We all kind of we grew up beefing. Like I said, I grew up fighting, getting my ass kicked, my head bounced off the sidewalk, and come back the next day. It's just like part of the way we grew up.
Yeah, Renner's not a Boston guy, but boy, did he capture the essence of what being in Boston is, right? He
He
captured that really
did.
well.
He killed it, man. I mean,
Uh,
it's such an he was nominated for best supporting actor for that film too, and
yeah,
he killed it. He was hanging with us all the time. Good dude.
You know, it's a great quote. Your hat got me thinking of this too. And only a Boston people would appreciate this quote in the town is when he says the last person that robbed the Red Sox like this was Jack Clark. Like,
Yeah.
like you can appreciate that. I can appreciate that. It's just a great. But your character, I love him because he's really selfless. You know, he kind of gives his life to help out. You know, Doug and Jem. Is that how you see him, George? Because you said you are that guy, and I kind of believe it. I believe your past has led to this movie, and I really feel like it's so authentic. And the way he gives himself up at the end, I don't know, man. He's a really great character in the realm of movie history. I think.
No, I agree. I agree. I mean, it's pretty to get a death scene like that. It's kind of iconic. Like, I'll only give them your first names. Obviously Ben wrote it. That role existed before I stepped into it, but it was definitely a very cool character to play.
Yeah. My last town question is this. By the way, the actor who plays Fergie was one of his last movies. He's freaking amazing. Was it? I forget his name.
Pete
But
Postlethwaite. Yep.
yes. Oh my God, is he frightening? Let me ask you this. So I thought Ben was on Rogan. This is like 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago,
Yep.
and I thought he was with Matt Damon. I thought he said to Joe that remember the scene in the town where the cop looks at the four of you getting out of the van,
Yeah,
and then he like,
that's my uncle Jimmy who plays that cop.
no way,
Yeah.
that's your uncle?
Yeah, it's my uncle. I got him the audition for that, and initially it was an audition for Fergie before Pete Postlethwaite got cast, and they called Jimmy in 3 or 4 times, and and he didn't get the part. So I went to his apartment in Southie, and he says, "George, I didn't get the part." And I said, "I know. They gave it to Pete Postlethwaite, Jim." And he says, "Pete who?" I said, "Pete Postlethwaite. He's an Academy Award nominated actor, right?"
Yeah,
And he
yeah,
said, "Yeah, they gave me this part but it has no fucking lines."
yeah.
And yeah, it ended up being one of the most iconic scenes with no lines in probably the history of cinema. So,
Yeah.
and he saw it for the first time at Fenway. I had seen it in L.A. Ben did a screening for me and a couple friends in LA prior to that, and I called Jimmy and I told him, "You got to see this scene. It's a classic scene." And he's like, "Stop busting my balls," like he's like, "I didn't even have a line." But
Oh,
yeah,
yeah, that
very
is an
cool.
iconic
I saw
that
that on Rogan too, and I thought that was great. Jimmy would have loved that. Jimmy passed a year and a half ago, and he
Oh,
would
I'm
have.
sorry to hear that.
Yeah, he was a great man. But it was very cool to see his mug up on Rogan.
He's really good too, and he sold it really well. And I guess my point was, I thought that Ben said that was actually something that happened in real life, and Ben put it in the movie. I thought Ben said that was an actual thing that happened, and it's just in a time where we read about all these heroes and these, it was like the move that every person would have done. Like, nope, I'm looking the other way. I didn't see anything. So yeah, man, it ends
And
up
it
being one of the.
also runs the opposite to what we normally see in the movie, right? Where the cop is gonna be the hero and chase the guy, and it's like that's not how it would go in real life. So I think that's why it really kind of cut through. That scene is such a classic scene. But
I, I,
Ben in general really studied everything for that movie, and he really nailed it. A lot of the Charlestown guys I know really love the way that movie was done.
Yeah, it's insane that The Town and Gone Baby Gone have like a 7.5 or a 7.6 on IMDb. Everybody I know loves these movies. Gone Baby Gone might be the most underrated movie of the last 20, 25 years. Easy. Like, I don't know. They're two of the best films ever made. So it just goes to show people don't know what they're talking about. I have to say, Gone Baby Gone, your first movie. I had Matt Mahar, who plays Corwin Earl on the podcast a while ago.
Yep.
I can't imagine playing that part. Like, I can't even that your character interacts obviously with that. But anyways, how tough of a part is that to play, George? I couldn't imagine playing that.
Yeah, I think he actually went to high school with Ben and Matt, didn't he? And
Yeah, he's close. He's close to those two. Yeah. And I also had Titus Welliver on. He's a really nice guy. He was in both these movies, so he
fantastic,
develops it.
fantastic guy.
So you have this rocket, to stardom. Do you feel like you processed it well? If you had to do it all over again, George, especially with Gone Baby Gone, would you have done anything different?
I don't really view it like as it was rocketed to stardom. I think, I always felt that I had a very blue collar music career, and I've had a blue collar acting career too. So there were times where it was a big adjustment in my home, and being in Boston and all this. Everybody saw Gone Baby Gone in the town, and House of Pain was a huge rap group. So I remember around 2009, 2010, my life started to get uncomfortable because I didn't know if people were running up on me to punch me or to stab me or to take a picture. And, at the time, it was just, it was an adjustment for sure. But I think I have adjusted to that. I've enjoyed walking around Boston and being a part of this community, and
Yeah.
so I don't really view it like that. I think people treat me for the most part with respect and as one of them.
Yeah, for sure. Great answer, by the way. I wanted to ask you, one of the things that really hits home in Gone Baby Gone is the introduction that Casey or the narration that Casey does at the beginning
Oh,
of the
it's
movie.
beautiful. Yeah,
Oh,
it's
dude,
beautiful.
he talks about he finds people that started in the cracks and fell through. Dude, like I don't think I've ever had a movie, George, where I'm like tearing up in the first minute. Like that's insane.
Yeah, it's a whole montage. And so my second or third day on set, Ben was showing me how he was putting that together on his laptop because they shot all that stuff early on. And it really kind of set the tone too for me to see that and be like, wow, oh, okay, wow, this is gonna be something else, like
Yeah.
it's one thing to read the script. And again, like this was my first experience shooting a film. So I had read the screenplay and seemed great. The story was great, but you really never know how something's going to translate to being on screen. So just seeing how he put that together in the beginning, that was inspiring.
Yeah, great answer, George. Your character, I mentioned how he was selfless in the town. Your character reminded me a little bit of Ed Harris's character Remy in Gone Baby Gone because that rooftop scene where Casey thinks that he killed Amanda and he clearly didn't. He's protecting that secret so this girl can live a normal childhood. When he looks at Casey, he says, "I love children." Bro, I like as a dad, George, when I rewatch this movie with kids, it just hits different. It hits different, George.
So let me ask you a question, because the big question that's left at the end of the movie is, would the kid have been better off staying with? And this is a spoiler alert for anyone
Yeah.
watching. But would the little girl be better off staying with Morgan Freeman or going back to the mom? And the interesting thing to me is it's almost split directly down the middle on which one people choose. And not only that, it's split down the middle between men and women. So men almost always think the kid should go back with the mother, and women always think that the kid should have stayed with the stable family. Isn't that
Yeah,
something?
that's crazy, and I go back and forth too, and I had this question for you, so, I don't know, man, I just feel like, you can't take this is gonna fit to what you just said. I don't think you could take a kid away from a mother. I don't think you can do that. I don't think
Me
you can
too.
do it.
I think the same thing. I think the kid got to go back to the mother, despite you know her perhaps her being unfit or uh, crazy or whatever it is. But yeah, I mean, I think we just think that as men. I think it's an affinity we have for our own moms, that unconditional love, right?
Yeah, yeah, and the thing is, Casey Affleck at the end, he loses his relationship. I think he'd do it again if he had to all over again. He always does the right thing by and I think he realizes that this kid isn't for a hard time moving forward too. That was
Casey was great, man. Casey was great in that role. Really, Michelle Monaghan too.
yeah, 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 yeah. Let me ask you this. You were supposed to be Cheese in Gone Baby Gone?
That was the first thing they called me into audition for. So, and I found this out later, but Ben actually called in maybe 50 white rappers to read for that role, because in the book it's a white guy who talks like a black guy, basically. And so he was kind of looking for somebody who could credibly pull that off, because it was a character that was to be feared, right? So he was trying to remain true to the depiction in the book, but he ended up going in a different direction and got Eddie Gathegi in there. And after my second audition for that, they said, we don't think you're right for Cheese, but we love you for Bubba Rogowski, and we'd like you to read for that. Then I had another few auditions for Bubba, and ultimately got it.
George, what character between McGlone and Bubba is closest to who you are as a person? Listen, I know they're both amplified people. I get that. But as a person, which character do you think is more like who you are or has more of your traits?
I mean, at that time, I think Bubba. I mean,
Yeah.
it was very similar to it. I mean, I was living in a warehouse. Bubba lived in a warehouse. Bubba was more successful than I was at the time, but I mean, going into a house and selling coke. I mean, that was pretty not a stretch.
So I have to ask you one more thing. Then I want to hop into King Ivory, which is one of my favorite sneaky films of the year. And I was telling your awesome manager Jeremy this. I really liked it a lot. It's just the cast was awesome. And let me get there in 1 second. But dude, I was reading a quote that you had in the Cape Cod Times, which was absolutely diabolical. Not from you, but what they decided to print. It was it says, this is a quote about you're getting your first job. It says, "I still have plenty of angst and hunger," he said last week after watching the Celtics win their 17th NBA championship banner from a strip club in Boston. Did they have to put the strip club in Boston? They can't just say he was watching it. I mean, shame on the Cape Cod. That's an like, come on, like that's an insane add in. Oh, by the way, this is where he was watching it. George, I'm sorry, that's diabolical. That not from you, but for them to include that's crazy.
Well, you got to remember too, that was before I got sober, and that was when I was pretty diabolical. So I think like it was they added in stuff like that just to let you know the reference. Like this guy's, I definitely was a different guy than I am today back then. So
Yeah. So George, when it comes to King Ivory, I have to say the movie just feels and looks like people poured their heart into this thing. Like it felt that way to me. Talk about that movie, your role, and some of the cast that was just terrific.
Well, first of all, I just want to correct what you said when you said Jeremy, your manager. Yes, but I mean Jeremy is not really typically a manager. He's a producer, and
Correct.
he
Yes.
produced the hell out of this movie. And I think Jeremy managing me is more as a function of him believing in me as an actor, and
Correct.
which I love to work with Jeremy. He's like we were saying before the call, just like a straight shooter and a very talented individual and somebody that you want in your corner, So that being said, John Swab and Jeremy, longtime collaborators, and when I read this script, I called them and I was like, "This is the one. This is the one." And it ended up being it just I watched it. Jeremy came up and we did a premiere screening in actually at Gillette Stadium in the movie theater that is at Gillette Stadium
Oh, okay.
recently.
Yeah.
And to watch it kind of with the hometown audience, we saw it in Venice, and to watch that movie on the big screen where it really should be viewed, by the way. It's like being the fly on the wall in a documentary. It's just it's the realism in it is it's just something to behold, man. It's a great film. And I actually put it right there with Gone Baby Gone in the Town. I think it's the best film that I've been in since Gone Baby Gone in the Town.
Right.
And I put those three all in the same category over the course of my career as the three that I'm the most probably proud to be in.
It's funny that you say that, George, because like I got a screener for it, and although I appreciate all the screeners I get, sometimes I get pissed, especially in this case, because this is something I should have seen on the big screen. I saw it on a screener, it just doesn't do the film justice. Like this is
Well, it's also the handheld camera work and the way that you're so close. I mean, you're literally like right up in Ben Foster's ear in the car. You know what I mean? You're
yeah.
sitting in the front seat with me and James Badgedale. It's like there's an intensity to it that I think is really enhanced by the cinematography. It was just fucking unbelievable, so good, and all the actors brought their A game. I think it's a film that didn't really have a movie star, but it had a lot of actors, you know, people that you have actors that every other actor respects, right? Like you talk about Melissa Leo and Ben Foster and Michael Mando and James Badgedale. You know, it's just like tremendous ensemble cast.
Melissa Leo was in a Boston movie. Was it The Fighter? Is that the
The
one with
Fighter, yes, she won the
yeah,
Academy Award.
yeah, she's terrific. But I got to tell you though, George, if Ben Foster's not an elite A+ actor, I don't know who the F is. Like he is better than the people we see on our internet. We read those entertainment websites. Ben Foster is better than all of them. All of them. Like I put a clip on from on TikTok. I got like, I don't know, 1,000 comments on this guy's the best actor. Like he's so underrated. Like what he delivers he kicks down the door and he delivers it. He's so underappreciated, George. I don't know how you feel about Ben, but I'm
Oh,
sure
I
it's close to
agree. I mean, first of all, he's a phenomenal guy, and I'm
yeah.
friends with his family. But you know, he's as an actor. I mean, the choices that he makes just really unique and powerful. You know, he's something else. He's an American treasure for sure.
He was born in Boston too. That's right. You're bringing it back. Yeah. George, I have to say thank you for all this time. I really appreciate it, man. I do want to say though, I do want to thank your awesome, I'll say friend Jeremy, who I'm telling you, you have a unicorn with this one. I deal with these managers and people all the time. He is by far in that 1% of rarity of just good, honest, and wonderful people.
Yeah, he's an amazing guy to collaborate with. Like I said, amazing person to have in your corner, and I'm in his too.
Yeah. What's around the corner for you, George? I'll let you go after this. Thank you for all this time, and thank you for giving up your Saturday before the Super Bowl. We're very excited for tomorrow. What's around the corner for you, as far as your career goes?
I think you know what's really become apparent to me over the years. You know, I've built brands and treatment centers and music, and I really have discovered that I love putting teams together. And with music, I never waited for the right project or anything. So I think going forward, I'm really interested in kind of taking a project from the beginning to the end. So I'm interested in producing some things and finding projects that where I love the story and I can play a role that maybe typically people wouldn't cast me in always. So that's kind of like where my head is at right now.
And we could have a whole interview based on what you've done for substance abuse and for others and for yourself. Like that alone is its own story. Is it hard, George, to maintain stuff like that? Your music career, acting, does it ever get overwhelming for you because you're really good at all of it? Does it ever get to the point where like, Jesus Christ, this is a lot of work?
It is a lot of work, and yeah, sometimes it does get overwhelming, and I get tired, and you know, I always want to answer the call for other people. How I've learned to kind of balance that is, you know, I surround myself with great people. I was just saying to my fiance the other day, we have so many great people in our lives, and literally none of the things that I do could, you know, I think people have a tendency, sometimes will say to me, like, you've done so much, like, you have built these things from, and it's like, no, I haven't. Like, I've just surrounded myself, found great people, and I've surrounded myself with them and put teams together because nobody can do anything by themselves. It's always about the team, and it's always about who you're surrounded with. You show me somebody who has a movement or some success in an area, and I'll show you somebody who knows how to put together a good team of people that are all kind of rowing in the same direction. That's the only way anything works.
A+ answer, George. One last thing. Give me a final score for tomorrow.
23-17 Patriots. Pats in
I
the under.
Dude, I said 24-17. I swear to God. Dude, we're right on track.
And
George,
I'm
thank you.
telling you, any gamblers out there, hammer that money line. It's 2-1. This is an even game. I'm not saying that the Patriots can't lose. I'm just saying that it should be an even money line. And you give me 2-1, you give me 2-1, you're gonna double what I put down, then I gotta take the Patriots every day, all day in that bet.
So, George, now I have to say this. So, I want to tell you, I put in a bet 2 months ago. I have a $25 one. This is when they were a long shot to a Super Bowl. It's 25 to win 575, and I've
Hmm.
got a 200 to win 2,500. So like, and they want me to cash out, but it's like pennies on a dollar. I'm like, I'm not cashing out. They're winning this thing. I'm not.
Yeah, let it ride. Let it ride.
I'm riding with my team. That's it. George, you're a great guy. Thank you for giving me time, and thank you to your wonderful friend and manager, Jeremy, for this. I appreciate it. Hopefully we do this again sometime. Thank you, George.
Thanks, Derek. Appreciate having me.
Yeah.